I have no idea what people were expecting when I went on tour because I know they hadn't seen me do stand up, 99% of them. And I know they probably only knew me as Roy Kent. So I have no idea what they were expecting. And my guess was, I thought I was going to have to address it and kind of what I really, really didn't want to do, but I was prepared to do if I had to. I didn't want to have to do like, hey, you all know me as Roy Kent, but I'm more like this. He's
Hmm.
like this, but I'm like this. I didn't want to do that. I was prepared to do that if I had to, if there was
Just
a
because it felt kind of cliche or
just felt like
unnecessary.
I'm doing something different. I would rather just present this thing. Here's the thing. You'll get into it. We'll have fun. Just just get on board without having to put it in the container of that. You know what I mean? Like, and to be honest, I was surprised and delighted that I never had to do that. I really
Hmm.
didn't have that problem. And I suspect the reality was they didn't expect their expectations were probably very low because because they probably thought, oh, this is an actor trying stand up, and they didn't know that I actually had done stand up for a very long time. So I think perhaps they were like, okay, let's see what this is. And then I came on and did solid stand up, and they were like, oh, okay, we can relax. He knows what he's doing. I would guess, but who the fuck knows? I can't speak for them.
You do talk about on stage how Ted Lasso changed your life and career in this major way. You know, you kind of became an actor in that way by accident, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you've told this story many times before, but you were a writer on the show and kind of you were just kind of doing a favor playing the part in a read through, right?
I wasn't doing a favor.
That
I
was the wrong way to put it.
no, I halfway through writing it was like, I think I'm Roy Kent. And I wrote an email when we finished writing it to Bill Lawrence, and I said, I think I could do this, but I understand no one's thinking of me for it, and this might be really embarrassing. And I made a self-tape and I sent it, and I said, if this is good, great, and if it isn't, let's never speak of it again. I will never ask you. And then he left me an email saying, this is awesome. Let's do it.
So it was so you it was a self-tape kind of thing that you shared with him, and then from then you were cast in the role, and
Yeah, and
that
then
was
he
the
showed
end.
it to everyone else, and then Jason, and then they went to Apple.
Was the voice that you do for Roy Kent there from that first
It was
tape?
nearly there. It was close to it. I think I figured it out more once we were doing it. But the vibe was definitely there.
Yeah. Was that based on anyone, or where does that voice come from for you?
Oh, it's Bill Sykes
Yeah,
from Oliver.
that was the inspiration.
Yeah, it's half the grumpy me and half Bill Sykes.
And then so were you sort of, I'm sure you were pleased that he liked it and wanted to cast you in the role.
Yeah.
Was that sort of a moment where you realized, oh, now I actually have to do this? And was that scary at all, or were you just
Yeah,
excited
the
to do it?
scary part was yeah, it was all scary. It's always scary when you when you get a job. It's such a weird thing that you I think it happens every single time. You're very excited about a thing, you work really hard to get the thing, then you get the thing and you immediately think, oh God, what have I done? Oh God, oh shit. And Ted Lasso is a real extraordinary one in that we genuinely had no idea how it would go. I did not think anyone would watch it. I I was scared doing the first season. I wasn't sure. I knew everyone else was brilliant. I knew it was special. It felt magical, but I wasn't sure if I was any good and didn't think anyone would watch it. And it was just going to be, like I said in the special, I've done so much stuff that no one saw. And I just thought this was going to be another one. And then, so the whole thing was kind of magic.
How do you explain the massive success that it was? I mean, I think that there was a lot of talk at the time about how the uplift of it or the vibe kind of matched the moment of the pandemic and people, sort of needing something like that. How much do you think that played into it?
I think I think it was more to do with uh I can't tell you, as in I can guess because I think these things are kind of magic, but I do think that it was to do with I think a big part of it was a refreshing change from everything we were seeing. And what we were seeing was so much negativity, so many our public figures were openly rude and horrible to each other and hostile and sowing division and all of that stuff. And here was this American who is ignorant, who doesn't know football, but who is coming into a world with an open heart and with curiosity and not being judgmental and trying to make things better by bringing people together. And as cheesy as that sounds, I think there was nothing going on like that at the time. So I think that may have been part of it, that it was like, oh wow, God, we really needed a shot of this.
You were working with so many great actors on that show,
Yeah,
and obviously many of whom probably had more acting experience than you did at that point.
yeah,
What did you learn from that experience of working with those people and really
so
being
much.
part of that ensemble?
So much. They're all amazing actors. I learned so much from Juno, who plays Keely, so much from her and so much from Jason. Uh, like I learned about it's always embarrassing talking about acting, but I learned about being vulnerable. I think what I learned is if you have a scene partner that you feel safe with, that is the key to everything because then you can try stuff, be embarrassing, be vulnerable, be soft, be whatever, and not feel, oh God, this is going to be embarrassing because even if it doesn't work, it's fine. You've got each other. You have each other's, you are holding each other. And that's how it was with Juno. Because I was very intimidated to work with Juno because she's a proper fucking actor.
Yeah.
And I learned so much from her. She was just wonderful. And just very early on, she just said, I don't remember exact words, but along the lines of, if you've got me, I've got you, and we'll be safe. And and that's it. That's
Do you
it's
feel like there was any kind of breakthrough moment for you or a scene where you felt like, oh, I'm doing something different that I didn't know I could do or that it feels different in some way?
there were so many. There were so many on Ted Lasso that felt like that. Uh, but often it was like all of us together. It would happen together. There's I'm sure I have mentioned this before, so forgive me if you've ever heard this, but in season two, there's the big episode where Jamie Tartt's dad comes into the locker room and Jamie punches him and Ted's triggered by it and I hug Jamie. That whole sequence we shot in the afternoon and Jason is so good at like bringing an atmosphere to the scene and getting everyone into it and so special because like one of the footballers started crying like as in everyone was so into it and usually we mess around and laugh a lot and that scene there was no messing around, everyone was so focused and so together. And me and Phil Dunster, who plays Jamie Tartt, always laughed, always terrible doing scenes together. And that's the only scene we didn't like. We were like in it, and
Yeah.
like when I hugged him, it was like legit, felt real. All of it was just felt so real and so special, and like. But that was everyone collectively, like as a team in the thing. That was very nice.
When it came time to make Shrinking your next show after or Ted Lasso, you did not write yourself into the show at first.
No,
But then, of course, you are a major role in season two, playing, I think, an even more challenging,
yeah,
dark character
yeah,
um, with less comedy to it. What was it like to take that on? Because I think, again, there was a little bit of reluctance or
yeah.
sort of not sure whether that was something that you wanted or that made sense for the show. So how did you think about that decision?
Well, that one was Jason Segel's idea. We were casting that part and he's brought me and Bill Lawrence to him, and he said, "Why isn't Brett doing this?" And Bill was like, "I don't think so," and I was like, "I don't know." And Jason was like, "Think about it. I'm serious. He's the right person for this." And we were like, I don't know. And then that night, we both thought about it. And in the morning, Bill called me, and he said, "Look, he said, I believe you are an artist, and I believe in you as an artist, and I will support you 100%. If you think you can do this, you should do this." And he said, "But if you fuck this up, the entire season rests on this character in your room thinking, bye."